just gonna fucking start right there. Yeah, but on Wednesday, Geo of Mike 'em Up. Oh no, sorry, not Mike 'em Up. Age 0 HD. Yeah, I tried, Gio. I love you, but no, we were just talking about that too. But anyways, fuck it. Guys, welcome to the Spawncast podcast. This is my spontaneous ass. You know how I go from topic to topic. Anything goes. Welcome. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Thank you for, well, if anything, I hope you guys are doing great for yourselves and the communities around you, because you know why? You fucking deserve it. And honestly, I'm fucking honored to have you on, because I know we tried a lot. You're a very busy individual, but I'm honored for you to give me your time.
Thank you.
This is a great friend of mine. Back to the court, back in like early podcasting days.
Oh my God, what's that, like almost 3 years ago now?
Really? That's not 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. I love that's awesome though.
I know, that's wild
to see how much has seen your progression. But anyways, before we continue on the conversation, introduce yourself to my audience and who you are, and a short description of what you do.
So I'm Jocelyn Huftalen. I am the CEO of Jocelyn Stacia, which is a social media management company. I also do a podcast. I also sadly work in the corporate world now.
It's like, son of a bitch. One day you'll get out of it one day.
I know. And yeah, I just living life, living good.
No, it's taking it day by day.
That's it. That's all I can do.
And then talk about podcasts. I actually want to start off with that. So like, what even got you like even interested to do it in the first place? Like,
so Core really kind of started it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, don't mind. Like, all right, this is fun. Like, just a bunch of people sitting around having conversations that, I enjoy having conversation. Like, diving deep into other people's minds and just exploring who people are and how people work is super interesting to me. So I was like, oh, that's really like, and it's a weird dynamic. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I started recording with Brandon. And he kind of put my feet to the fire. And I said, all right, well, when am I supposed to release this? He was like, actually. And I was like, I'm going to release it on Monday, the 2nd. And he was like, that fast? I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't know. I've always just been like I'll figure it out kind of person. Mm-hmm. And like, as soon as he was like, so when's it coming out? I was like, Monday. And I was like, why did I just put myself to that? That's stressful. Yeah. I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, well, I just said it's coming out on Monday. I can't let myself down. So I, released it. And I think 4 episodes later, or 3 episodes later, I can't remember at this point, I brought my best friend into it, and we've been rolling ever since. Wow. So yeah, just like that.
No, it's awesome that you do have people like that in your life that do push you. Like you said, put your feet to the fire necessarily, right?
Exactly.
Because I feel like a lot of people nowadays too, we don't have such a good circle of people around us to push us to be, I guess, uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, absolutely. No, not at all.
Were you like well, I know you say you do love conversation, but like, did it definitely like going through podcasting, has it like sharpened your skills as a conversationalist, or like anything you've noticed like in public, maybe with your day and day with your friends, family, relationships and stuff? Or?
Yeah, it makes me listen more. Like when I first started, I was always like, oh, I gotta get my words in. I want to say what I want to say. I gotta say what I gotta say. And the more podcasting I do, the more I realize like I just sit back and listen, and I'm just like, okay, I hear people out. I'm not so fast to jump to conclusions, and I'm like, let them finish. Like my brain always finishes people's sentences anyway, but it's letting them finish and letting myself finish my own thoughts, and then be like, okay, now can you respond appropriately? And it's more the respond versus the reaction. Like I'm not reacting to what they say. I'm actually thinking critically and taking the chance to respond properly, and not just like jump to the first conclusion that comes to my mind. So I think that's definitely helped from podcasting, and something that I've noticed more recently than, season 1 and even season 2, I didn't notice it so much, but going into our 3rd season and doing all our recording, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, Alyssa has way more talking space, and I just like let her go, and she's just like, she's getting more comfortable behind the mic, which is nice. I'm glad it didn't take forever. I mean, 3 seasons is a lot, but she's definitely way more comfortable, which is really nice. And she'll just take the lead on things, and I just like let her go, and I just let her like rant, and I'm like, oh my God, she's not normally like this. I'm just gonna let her go. And I think her and I have such a good dynamic that the moments where she's super chatty and I'm more quiet, it offers the opportunity for when it's the reverse. We recognize that, and we're like, okay, like you're speaking and you just need to rant. You just need to go for it and just go. And just recognizing that dynamic between each other, I think also helps our podcast in particular. So, yeah.
No, exactly. And I like how you we were saying earlier too, like it hasn't, podcasting hasn't made you better. Like, it has made you better as a speaker, but as a listener.
Yeah.
And that's I'm still learning, honestly, every day. You know what I mean? Especially, every day it's a new opportunity.
Yeah.
It's great that you guys have that attitude. And it's also, I love, like you said, because you've mastered your cuteness and hearing, when people are just on their rant. Because, I'm still, if you listen to my older episodes, I've definitely was quick to react instead of actually sit down and be meticulous. Like, all right, like, I forget who it was. It's a philosopher but what they say is like, you can't really understand someone until you say basically exactly what they said back to them, and they can confirm exactly
what you said.
But and that's a very hard skill to learn that people don't understand too when it comes to public speaking and even podcasts in general too.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've learned really recently is not just like the not having the judgment portion of, like, I think one of the episodes last year we did and we talked, and it was like the 4 agreements, and I was very much on the judgment call right there. And I was like, all right, I'm really understanding judgment. And it was like, I'm still catching myself doing a lot of judging, but it's a lot less. And now it's the assumptions. I'm not catching myself making as many assumptions as I used to. And I moved on to that next, like, almost, I don't even know which one. I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, but that's one of the assumptions that or one of the agreements more recently that is really like taken. So I think that's been what's also helped me to start listening more, because I've caught myself making assumptions before someone's finished a sentence. And I'm like, ooh, I can't do that. Like, I need to step back. I need to let them finish. And when I let them finish, I don't make as many assumptions.
Do you think the quickest, like, assumption has begin to grow in our societal normal conversation because of technology and how instant gratification can be? Do you think that's a big part of it?
I think it's a part of it, but I also think, like, I think humans, we think much more quickly than we can talk. So hence why you catch people just like stumbling over words and just like spitting things out, and you're like, oh my God, that didn't even make any sense. But I think technology has somewhat hindered us in that way by that instant gratification. But I think there are also so many things that technology offers that, like, we have the opportunity to move forward with, and we just don't see it yet, because we're still so much this is like new, like, technology's so new to the human race. Like, we're like in the baby stage of like understanding it and really like what it can do for us. And yeah, I think instant gratification has definitely come from those 7-second TikTok videos and the 7-second reels that you see on platforms. But when you look at the majority of long form content, people actually want to watch that more and will get through it more when they actually enjoy it. So yeah, I think we create a lot of assumptions off of, like, from our short, being accustomed to having that instant gratification. But I think when you're actually into something and you stop making assumptions based off of a short video, you can actually dive into a topic and be like, oh, okay, there's more to this than I actually thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually dig deeper into research or certain topics like that. And, like, I think when, like, oh, sorry, I'm like looking at the goddamn screen. My fault. I got the ADHD, not my fault. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
No, but I think, like, it's a balancing act when it comes to technology. You know what I mean? Because we can either better our speech through, talking to people across the globe, getting people on, like, doing all that
having
stuff.
Apps like Duolingo and being able to learn new languages, or
do you know? Like, wait, are you learning a new language? Is that something you job?
No, I have Duolingo on my phone with every intention of learning a new language, and I have not done it simply because it is just, life has been very busy, and I was like, I can't add one more thing to my plate. As much as I love learning, I'm more focused on learning more about my marketing and the social media and things like that. So I think I'm just so focused on learning on that I was like, okay, trying to learn one more thing on top of all these other things. I was like, something's going to get mixed matched, and, like, I'm going to forget information. So instead I've really focused on, like, what I actually enjoy. And I love marketing. I love social media, and there's so much to learn about it. So yeah, I want to say, yes, I'm totally learning a new language, but no, I'm not.
I was actually talking great, the social media and networking, like, going back to technology and stuff, like, what, like, knowing, like, since you've been gaining your knowledge and how long have you been into social media, like, networking?
Probably about a year and a half now.
A year and a half. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that year and a half, like, because I know going back to technology, always to get into, like, so, like, looking at these advertisers and, like, what they could be doing, like, is it kind of, like, disgust you almost, like, because I know you're talking about corporations, like, now looking at them, they could have, like, instead of doing what they're doing, they can showing a better light, maybe, like, and stuff like that, like, getting into it, like, has it, like, shocked you seeing, like, the bigger picture of it all? Like now you're
Oh
started.
yeah. For
Okay.
sure. I think sometimes I used to expect corporations to have this like big outstand and really focus on making a stand and being with morals. And I realized like there's only so much that a corporation can really do. And I think I've shifted that perspective, especially like in the last month with, every holiday there is. And I have some clients that are like, no, we're not saying happy Halloween. We say happy holidays, even if it is just it, there's a bunch of holidays in October. We need to acknowledge all of them. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's fine. And it's even opened my eyes when clients will come to me and be like, oh yeah, we'll do this holiday, but we're not doing this holiday. And I'm like, well, okay, why? And I have to like push that envelope for them because I'm like, you might be missing out on a huge potential of, customer base or even clients for themselves. I'm like, if you don't reach outside and really start to expand what your own morals are and kind of, okay, you have morals, which is great. But if you can figure out what else actually matters to you beyond morals, that's going to be huge in your authenticity on any social platform.
Like seeing the bigger picture of things of the world and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Basically putting yourself in other shoes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I recently really started to work on this with one of my clients because they're very in the box and they're like, we don't say Merry Christmas. And I'm like, okay, but you say Happy Hanukkah and you say Happy Kwanzaa, but you won't say Merry Christmas. I was like, but the majority of people in your company celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
So we need to work on why don't you want to say Merry Christmas? Well, because it's Happy Holidays. And I'm like, okay, but then you shouldn't be saying Happy Hanukkah or Happy Kwanzaa either. You should just say Happy Holidays and leave it at that. Well, we have to acknowledge the other like holidays. And I'm like, okay, then you need to say Merry Christmas.
It's like an oxymoron, right? In their own thing. It's like, wait, you're trying to fix this one thing, but you're still making the issue. It's not even putting a Band-Aid. You're literally just flipping the issue and making it something else to better your I guess perspective or whatever it may be.
Yeah, exactly. How you present to, any outstanding clients. It's like, okay, I think you're missing the mark. Like you can say Merry Christmas and you can say Happy Holidays and then you can also say Happy Kwanzaa and, Happy Hanukkah and, Happy New Year. You can say all those things, but you're not going to get every holiday. It's almost virtually impossible because there are going to be holidays and cultures that you have no idea about.
Oh, no, oh my God. Like, just seeing on Snapchat every single time, they're like, Happy Pancake Day. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, who made these days? Like, I feel like they're just making it up now and they're just seeing how many people will actually go along with it.
Oh my God. The amount of holidays that there actually are and the amount of clients that will be like, hey, can we do Happy Oreo Day? And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, the owner loves Oreos. And I was like, that has nothing to do with our company culture. Like, what?
Wait, really? You guys? Oh God.
They have They do Happy Oreo Day. So like they bring in as many different flavors of Oreos as they possibly can and just like lay them out in the office conference room. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that if that's part of your company culture, I mean, I guess okay. But like, really? They're like, I'm like, well, I learned a new fucking holiday today.
Yeah, exactly right. Bring it back home, tell the whole family.
I'm like, yeah, today's Oreo Day. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, don't ask me. I don't know.
Here's an Oreo milkshake, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to ask, though, when it comes to, like, the corporate, because now, especially with Elon, like, I don't know, you're probably hip with, like, the whole Elon Musk buying Twitter, the whole nine, and, like, purging all of his society. Yeah, so, like, he's very hip.
Oh, my God, yeah.
He seems like a cool dude.
He's a very Twitter-heavy person. Yeah, so.
See, I try using Twitter. I don't know. I'm just not good with it. I just fell off of it. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Twitter girl. I need the visuals, and Twitter doesn't offer visuals for me. So like, I'm out.
Well, they do be having fucking some crazy shit sometimes. But like, anyways, I want to because I want to get back to like the culture of like the corporate industry. Like, since you have because there's a lot of things about the woke. The big conversation everywhere, especially, this woke culture, like getting into our, politics, our military and like corporate. Like, do you see a big impact, like in corporations you worked for and stuff like that? Do you think it's, like what's your, you don't have to, like, what's your opinion about it? Like, do you see it or is it just kind of like what?
I think that each corporation has to make their own decision as to how much they want their company to be involved in it. I mean, I think it's to each their own at this point. I don't think that being with the politics and all the things that go on is being woke. I think there's just being educated. I used to be all about we're so woke. And I'm like, are you woke or are you just educated and you're willing to hear out other perspectives and just be open to new ideas? Is that, if that's what woke is, then I guess you can classify me as that. But I mean, it's just a matter of being, are you open? Like, and what is the company culture? Do you want your company culture to be somewhere where political ideas is the topic of conversation? And I just listened recently to a podcast. I wish I could remember who it was with. It was the guy who owns Coinbase, who started Coinbase, and Lex Luthor.
Oh,
I think
shit.
His name's Lex.
Oh, Lex Friedman.
Thank you. I don't know. I always call him Lex Luthor. And my boyfriend's like, Jocelyn, he's not a comic book character. I'm like, sorry.
He can be. He's a badass.
Right?
Oh, dude, he's had some crazy interviews. I actually listened to that Ye one. I don't know if you watched that one.
No, I didn't.
It gets pretty wild on that one. Yeah, but there's a lot. But anyways, he's had the creator of Ethereum on. He's had I'm trying to remember. His name's Magnus, I believe, the world champion of chess.
Oh, okay.
I like odd stuff like that too, you know. Yeah. But he's a great character. But sorry, anyways, the owner of Coinbase and
so he had him on there, and I remember one of the comments that he said was, you know, we were noticing that the company and everybody inside of it was just constantly talking about politics, and that he was like, that wasn't great for productivity. And they were all like, well, why aren't you taking a stand? Like, why aren't you doing something? And he was like, it just didn't align with the values that I wanted to align with. And so I opted to give them a package to be like, no more company culture. Like, our company culture is not political. And if like, that's not what we're about creating a platform that everybody can use and can exchange money and not have to worry about, you know, certain currencies and it not working here, but it working here. Like, that's what we're about. We're not about being political and having to, you know, take a side, like, and take a stand. So, and he ended up opting to give a severance package to people that wanted out, and 5% of the people at the company took it.
Really?
Yeah. And I was
just because of that.
Just because of he didn't want to get involved with certain political matters, and they were like, well, we think you should be taking a stand. And he was like, well, then I don't think this is the company for you. And if that's, you know, how you feel about it, here's a severance package, and you can choose if you want to take it or not. And he said that 5% of the company ended up taking the severance package.
Damn.
Yeah. And he was like, you know, but the reality is 95% of people didn't want to really be talking about politics in the first place. They want to come to work, they want to do their fucking job, and they want to go home. And they want to talk about politics with their friends. They don't want to talk about it with their coworkers. They want to talk about work.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was impeding the productivity of what needed to be done. And the reality was we had to stop it somewhere, and we had to put the foot down to be like, no, when you come to work, you're coming to work to do your work. You're not coming to work to have a political debate and discussion. And that's when he decided to just do the severance package, and he said 5% took the package. He's like,
all right, bye. Yeah. Like you said, 95%. You know what I mean? And that's the majority. You know, just everyday people. They just, you know, politics is already stressful enough as it is, so they hear it at work, and it's like, oh, god damn, shut up.
Yeah,
Last fucking thing I hear.
Absolutely. And he was saying, he's like, most people like don't like. It got to a point where it was so much so it was in their Slack. Like their Slacks were just blowing up with all this political debate. Really? And he was like, it just got to a point where it was like there was no work being had because everybody was so focused on all these political matters. And he said that some of their European people that they sent like an email memo to that was like, work is for work, like no more, you know, whatever. And the Europeans were like, yeah, that's what we thought we were coming to do. It was coming to work to do work, like, you know. And Americans were like, no, we're coming to work to have political debates. And it was like, no, that's not what we're here for. But a lot of people won't shut it down either. Like, have you ever been in a political debate where you're just like, I don't align with this, but I don't know how to tell this person to shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah. I just think nowadays it just sucks. You know, past, 2 years like COVID, everyone's just been spammed with only politics. So that's the only thing we were caring about. Well, now obviously now everything's, somewhat open again. Yeah. But it's just like, everyone just getting used to, this. I don't know. Everyone just uses their emotions mostly now instead of just like we used to be understanding. We used to like sit down across each other like on the table here. Just
I think it's the opposite. You're saying that everyone's using their emotions, and I think what's happening is people are becoming more apathetic to other people. That there's not an emotional draw. Like we're disconnected from the human reality of everybody has their own fucking shit going on, and we don't acknowledge that, and that makes it hard to have and come to the table and have an educated and comfortable discussion. Like you can't have safe spaces when you have somebody who doesn't acknowledge their own emotions, and they're super apathetic to everyone else because the world revolves around them.
There's like, I need this. It's mine. All mine. And they don't think about their consequences. They just think it's not. And actually, I want to connect this to your podcast. And I love what you do, the table talks. Like, can you actually say the famous quote? I'm trying to remember.
Which one?
Discuss the conversations that need to.
Deeper conversations that are highly sought after but rarely explored.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to dig deeper about was like it was that one of the reasons why you started the podcast too, so you can like have like so people can just hear these conversations that we have like regular people have without
bickering and arguing and fighting. And I mean, me and my best friend get in some heated discussions, but like it's not to the point that it ends up ending with I hate you. Like it's like, okay, that's your side. That's how you view life. That's your perspective, and that perspective comes from all of the reality as a human you've had that I have not experienced. You have experienced something completely different than I have, which makes you believe something versus the way I believe something. And that's okay. But we can come to the table and have a heated discussion about it and still go home and be like, yeah, I love you. Have a great day.
Fact.
Drive safe. Let me know when you get home. Yeah. Like you can have heated discussions and just recognize come the end of it, you have a different perspective, and that's okay. But it's hard. Like I think that's what we're missing today, which is why I think people are so apathetic when having these deeper conversations. They want to have a deeper conversation, but they don't know how to show any empathy towards the other party. It's just like my way is the right way, and that's all that matters.
Do you think it's like because the victim mentality that's been promoted in some of our, people like, oh, so much wrong has gone to me, like I deserve, like, do you think that's a part of it, like in society, or is it just like, again, like people just aren't just having that conversation? Is just not.
I don't think anyone's open to having that conversation. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I don't think it has to do with the fact that it's not necessarily a victim mentality. I think if someone's in that victim state, it's because they haven't felt like they've been heard, and no one has acknowledged how to hear them and really like listen. And like I said, like more recently, I've been in the whole like, I'm just going to step back and I'm just going to listen fully out before I say my piece or I say anything. And even more recently, even my boss at my job is like, hey, you've been like real quiet lately. Everything okay? Like you're not going to quit on me, right? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, I'm not anywhere near quitting. I've taken a new look at things and been like, okay, I need to listen before I'm going to like respond. And like everybody else in the room has more knowledge than I do about, the construction field and about corporate worlds versus me. Like I'm the baby in the group, and I'm the youngest in the group. So I'll have a very different perspective than all these people who have been in it for a while, and they're much older than me. So I'll listen to everything you have to say, gather all that information, and then make an educated response versus just reacting right away and feeling like I'm not heard when I know that's not the reality. Like the reality is everybody's listening to everybody. It's just also people can only hear so much at a certain time, which is why I hate 1-hour meetings. I think once you hit the 30-minute mark, you've lost people. No one can sit and have that attention span. Not in a very boring meeting.
There's like, God damn. Oh my God. I remember doing safety courses when I started my new job, and I was just like literally falling asleep. Now, even the guy who was doing the presentation was on his phone. I was like, what is this? Yeah. Making me a fucking happier being here. Like, what is this? But especially like you said, it's just, if get directly to the point, don't try to, I guess, like scurry, sidestep it or anything like that.
No, and that's what happens, I think, in a lot of these meetings that are set to be like an hour long, is you get lost in conversation and you're constantly just like, oh, I just want to tell this story and I just want to talk about this. And it's like, that's not what we're here to talk about. Can we please move on? Like, I just want to get to the point.
It's like, I know you already wanted to talk about this. Like, we already said this in the email, what you wanted to talk about on this goddamn thing. And now you just made it like a whole, like, obscene thing. And I feel like that brings down morale too, It's like,
absolutely.
You just wasted my time where I could have been doing this and that or whatever it is nowadays.
And for me, it's like Tuesdays are my super long meeting days. I'm usually in meetings from like 8 a.m. to probably like 2 in the afternoon. I get no work done because I'll have like a 15-minute or maybe 30 minutes in between. Who can get anything done in 30 minutes? It's like, okay, I sit down, I can check a few emails, and then I got to get back up and go right into my next meeting. And I just find that like Tuesdays, I'm just automatically like, yeah, this is a long shot day. I'm coming in the morning. I have an hour and a half to do what I need to do, and then I'm in meetings, and then other hour and a half of the day that's at the tail end of my day, I'm going to do absolute jack shit because I am so meeting fatigued at that point that like any work I'll produce is going to be shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be shit. It's going to be shit. And I have to accept that.
Just draw little stick figures. Like, you know what? At least this will be somewhat decent.
I usually
right
take to doing the filing. I'm like, I'll file. Tuesdays is my file day. I'm like, I'll just go file. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just filing. Well, don't you have work to do? I'm like, do you think after I sat in meetings for the last 6 hours, I'm going to give you anything good? And they were like, no, I saw that email you shut off in between meetings. I was like, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that was the same boat. Everyone's on the same boat.
Yeah. And she's like, all right, so we're going to do that tomorrow. I was like, yeah. She was like, can we set a meeting? And I was like, no, send me an email. I'm not doing a meeting tomorrow.
Everything's so much easier if you just make it simplified. And that's the thing I feel like we forget. Like, I don't know why we have to, I don't just make things like, I feel like that's also a thing too, is being direct with what you're trying to say. A lot of people, I think nowadays that, you know, maybe for relationships, because that's another, like relationships in general. Like, a lot of people like,
you dance around the bush.
Yeah, it's like, you want a relationship or do you want to do this? Like, for example, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or just even relationships with family and friends, you know, like be direct. Like if you want them to tell you if you're doing something wrong, like you would hope you want someone to be direct and like, hey man, you can do better with this. Like, because you know that.
Well, that brings it right back to the point that you said earlier. When you have people in your circle that just like stick your feet to the fire and just are like, hey, this is what's wrong, or hey, you should do this, and I'm going to tell you, you have a date as of today. I think it's an accountability thing. If you don't have people in your life that'll hold you accountable, you'll get away with anything.
That's facts. And speaking of, like, what do you plan, like, for the future of the podcast? Like, do you plan to, like, have, like, other, like, maybe do interview styles or something? Like, try to get other voices to get, like, debates? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. We definitely do. We have some in the pipeline that we want to get guests for, and it's, like, one of those things where, you know, recording in a closet with one microphone doesn't exactly work. When it's a tiny closet, it barely fits her and I, let alone.
Wait, just one mic? It sounds like it's perfect. Like two.
Yeah, no, we've got one mic still. It's crazy. Like, yeah, I know.
Well, you got a better studio than I do. I don't have any soundproofing, so.
Yeah. With that was all. I think Alyssa's boyfriend had a bunch of soundproofing, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put all over the walls behind my gaming," and just like never hung it up. And she was like, "Hey, can I like take that?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna use it." So, and we just plastered it all over the walls. And then actually, we found out we can actually record at Alyssa's house in her back bedroom.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually pretty good.
Shit. Upgrades.
I was shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, I could lay down. I like don't have to sit like this the entire time and like sit on this uncomfortable like beanbag that I've got." I'm like, oh my god, I don't miss this. And like, so we did that for the summer because my closet and my apartment was just so hot. I was like, the closet is out. I was like, it cannot happen.
Getting scoliosis and a sauna.
Yeah.
No fun.
No, definitely not. So, but I actually, and she definitely won't listen to this podcast, I actually bought her a microphone for Christmas. So yeah.
What if she does?
She definitely won't. She won't. She's not a podcast listener. I love her. She creates them, but she don't listen to them. She's like, she'll listen to some audiobooks or like she'll listen to a podcast when she needs like specific information, but she's not a podcast girl, which is so strange to have somebody who doesn't listen to podcasts do podcasts.
Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, I want to, sorry, I want to go back to the interview style was, so what is your focus when getting people on? Is it more like, you know, something like interview style, like I am just shooting, or is it kind of like a debate, or is like, what's your plan? Like, I know, like,
I wish that I could tell you that we have like a definitive plan, but we just don't. We want guests, and we have specific topics we want guests, but I think Alyssa and I just really enjoy the conversations between each other right now, because there are still things that, God, I don't know, we've been friends since high school, so like 10 maybe.
Damn.
God, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you how many years, but it's over 10 years we've been friends, and we still like do this podcast, and I still learn something new like all the time about her. And especially when we do our diving in deep episodes, I'm like, I didn't know that about you. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that's the point of these episodes, is to learn a little bit more about each other. And also like, we just thoroughly enjoy like the conversation between each other. And she's much more shy than I am. She is the extreme introvert and I'm the extrovert of the group. So she needs prep time in order to do these sort of things, which is why I was like, nah, she's not in.
Yeah.
It's the holidays, bro. It's going to be you and me. She's not coming.
Yeah, she's already got enough. Trying to make sure the decorations are up, make sure that turkey fucking finesse looking, I don't know if she's, you know, a vegetarian or not. No disrespect. Making your bread turkey.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that on the fucking Instagram recently.
The what?
Bread turkey.
Never heard
You ever
of
see
it.
it?
No, I have not
The
seen
algorithm didn't get to you.
that. No, it didn't.
All right.
No, I didn't. I did not.
It's just like, you know what I mean, dough, get it all nice,
Yeah.
and then you literally just like cut it like the wings up, fold them in, and then cut the little wings, the little drumsticks, and they put it in. It's supposed to like bake like a turkey.
Okay, that's really cool.
It does look cool. Like
okay, that looks cool as fuck.
Like I think it would be cool if you actually do like a stuffing or something, like put meat in there or something. Like, you're like, what if you do like mini turkey sandwiches, like do like mini ones with like different turkey filling or something for Friendsgiving next year. I want to do that next time I come through.
I'm
You're
down
more than
for
welcome.
Friendsgiving.
You
I'm
and
so down
you
for
and the hubby
Friendsgiving.
more than welcome.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So as far as the podcast goes, her and I, guest wise, we have it in the works. We know we want to do it, but I think for us, the first step is monetizing the podcast and just getting us to the point that it's making us some sort of money, and it can bring in some sort of income to offset what we pay for it. Yeah. That's really our goal at this point. And then guests will be next, because then we'll, I think her and I, it's not our number one focus. I think she's so focused on her career, and then I'm so focused on the business that neither one of us have been like, yeah, this is our baby. Like, this is our hobby, and this is what we love to do. It's just more like, no, we love sitting down and having conversation, and this just happens to be the outcome of it. We get to produce a podcast. And so I think one day we'll get there, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I honestly don't foresee us having guests until probably season 5. I would say another 2 years.
Can I be on the wait list?
Yeah. Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Perfect. We can talk about like shampoo or something, like for different hairstyles or something like that.
We can talk about anything, honestly. I mean, and that's where like Alyssa and I were not, and that's why I say it's not our main focus. Like we are so lax with it, and we're just like, yeah, if it does well, it does well. And like, but the point of it is like we're making memories between each other, and that's what I think is really important for both of us right now, because we have so many things that we've been friends for so long. And do you know how many photos we have?
Oh my God.
We counted, and we only have like 20 photos together. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why? You hear that, folks? Only 20 photos. I think that's real friendship. Actually, you know what? Actually, I respect that, because that's probably the same with my best friend too. It's like, because you're enjoying the moments with them more than it does. Suck
we
when
gotta like take a photo and like. But that was the thing. It was like, oh, we were gonna post like a photo for Table Talks, and we realized like we have no photos of the two of us together. And I was like, girl, I was like, do you have photos? She was like, I have the ones from high school. I was like, of us in our prom dresses. She was like, yeah. I was like, I already got those. Those are on Facebook. Like, I'm like, I need other ones. She was like, girl, I don't have any. I was like, oh, fuck, me neither. I was like, that's it. We're doing a photo shoot. So we did. We took ourselves to the apple orchard. We did a photo shoot. And even then, we still only came out with like maybe 5 photos of the 100 we took that we liked. And we were like, all right, the rest are trash. Exactly. And still, so that means we only have 20 photos. And both of us have been super conscious about like, hey, we're going out. We have to take photos this time, okay? And then it's like we're about to leave. I'm about to drop her off. She's like, wait, we got to take a photo. Yeah. So now we have all these car photos as time has gone on. And I'm like, girl, we got to get better about this shit. And she's like, we just need to bring a third wheel.
A third wheel. Just
like have somebody follow us and take pictures, because we're not good at this shit. And I'm like, no, we're so in the moment and so enjoying either what we're doing or our company and just laughing and having a good time that like, it's not about the photos for us, because the memories we'll remember when we're 70 or 80 and we're aging and have Alzheimer's is going to be the times laughing, and it's not going to be taking the photos. Like looking back at a photo, I won't remember much, but it's what sticks, and what sticks in the plastic that's in there. So yeah, no, I think that's for the podcast. We're just kind of taking it one step at a time, and whenever we're ready to move to the next step, we're just like, all right, now let's do it now.
No, I think that's the best thing, because then like you're enjoying the journey. Yeah. Both of you learning and becoming better individuals as you grow, and seeing how much potential you guys can accomplish. And who really knows how far it can go. And that's the thing. It's it's a side thing. If it does blow up, it blows up. If not, it was fun. It's a cool time capsule too.
Absolutely. And that's what I say to her all the time. I'm like, girl, I'm like, when I listen back to our episodes to edit, I laugh like hysterically, and my mom will come in and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I can't. This episode is just so good. I'm like, we recorded it like a month ago, and I'm finally listening to it again to like actually edit it. And I'm like, oh my God, we had so much fun with that episode. And I'll forget half the things we said, because we record usually 2 episodes in a day. And I just like, it goes out, it's like in one ear and out the other. But then when I listen back to it, I'm like, oh my God, we made so many good memories. And like, it brings it back. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot we talked about that. I'm like, oh my God, I learned something new about her. And I'm like, oh, I was like, that shouldn't go on air. Cut.
Yeah, we're gonna do some editing here. Editing, chop this out. Just put a random fucking like soundbite in there, like a bazinga.
Yeah. So that's definitely the podcast for us. Is just I think it's for us as a time capsule right now, and it's just making memories and just enjoying what we do. And when we get to a point in our podcast where we're like, hey, this is too much. Like, I've got a lot on my plate. This is too much. Like, can we take a break? We do. We take a break. And like, because it's not something that it's not monetized. It's not something where we have everyone every week being like, why don't you have an episode? Yeah. It's like, people are there. Like, they listen when they listen, and like, that's fine. And it's like, great. But it's not something where it's like a huge hit to, a business. Like, it's not a business for us. It's something that we do for fun and just enjoy it. And I think that right there is going to lay the groundwork for when it does get real and it does become something that we really lay back on, and it becomes the income that we want it to be, that we'll be like, no, the reason we did this is because we wanted to have fun, and all of the groundwork is laid for us that fun is first, and then all the stuff comes afterward, and that's what's most important.
Exactly. And then you just face the challenges of like running that business and whole new, and then both you guys together now in this whole new field of content creating and expand, and then especially with your social media knowledge too, you learn how to expand and like market yourself like better too. And like you said, it's not a big push, because I feel like if especially if you want to jump to that, you don't want to jump to that fucking fame super quick either.
No, neither of us do. And that's what she even said. She was like, Joss, I don't even know what I would do if we went viral. She's like, know me, I'm an introvert. She's like, what the fuck am I gonna do with that shit? All of a sudden I'm gonna have all these people following me, and like they're gonna expect content. And she's like, I'm boring as fuck. And I'm like, I know, that's why we cut the segment of like tea time, because you have no tea. That's why that segment got trashed.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, yeah. I think season 1, halfway through, she was like, girl, I don't have tea, stop asking that fucking question. And I'm like, all right, girl.
Nah, she should have been like, I had blueberry tea, elderberry. Just switch it up like that.
That was one of the episodes we did actually, was just like talked about tea, because she was like, girl, I don't have tea. What are we going to talk about? And I was like, let's talk about real tea. We're actually drinking a cup of tea today. Let's talk about real tea. And she was like, okay, I like that. But you really got to carry us with this whole tea thing. Your life is way more exciting than mine. I was like, it's really not. It's really not. But I jot down random things in our Google Drive that's like, oh, this happened this week. This happened this week. This happened this week. And then I get in and she's like, how do you remember those things? I'm like, because I just have the drive open while I'm at work, and when something pops in my head, I just jot it down, and then I got something to talk about on the podcast. Like, it's just, she's like, that's a really good idea. I'm like, yeah, you should do that.
I was gonna say, actually, that's a good thing to say. So, what would you say for people out there when it comes to anything? Because you're very organized. Like, that's what I love. Like, I see, the things you post too, like your sticky notes all over. You're so fucking organized. But I wish, I wish I had that. Like, look at my notes, scribbles and fucking scratches. So, what would you say to someone, like, how to utilize their tools more to help them better themselves, be winners when it comes to everyday life, when it comes to their dreams, their goals, like maybe business or career? Like, is there any advice you could throw?
I think it's finding a system that works for you, whatever that is. So mine started with sticky notes, and I still use sticky notes. They're still on the back of my door, and those, like, I've now made sticky notes are like the long-term goals that I'm like, okay, this needs to be completed by X date, but it's like 6 months away, because I'm so big picture oriented that if I don't have something that's like on paper, I'll lose it, because the big picture will change in like 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if it's on a sticky note on the back of my bedroom door where I can see it every day, is that constant reminder that, like, hey, this is what you're striving for. So I think visual cues is probably my number one tip. Visual cues. If it's something visual and it's something that reminds you constantly of like whatever your future is or whatever that goal is, that's gonna probably be more helpful than just being like, yeah, this is the goal. And it's like, oh, okay. Also, I know for me, I love a like project management system. I fell in love with them a really long time ago, and
that's a program?
Yeah, so like there's different project management systems. So like there's Monday.com. You've never seen the ads for Monday.com?
Nope.
No.
I just don't have the same ads. I'm not on the algorithm.
No,
you got
I
a whole
didn't see the
different
turkeys. You didn't see the money.
That's another story. Go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think finding a project management system that works for you is super important. I just switched from Asana to ClickUp probably in the last like couple of months. And this is not sponsored, even though I wish they would sponsor, is I love them so much. I went from the free to the paid version, and I can tell you the way that it automated most of my workflow for me that I don't have to think. I don't have to make sure that it's like, oh, I create this task and then I also make sure that it's created over here. I like create all these automations. So like when I click it, it automatically populates, hey, put X here, and it puts it on like this person's like to-do list.
It's almost like coding, kind of like your own coding, like you're learning coding or not?
No, I'm not learning coding, but I mean, I guess in a way you're coding your life. If you want to look at it
like
that
a video
way.
game?
Like kind of. I think that's why I also like project management systems, because I like video games that are very quest oriented. So like if there's not like something that I have to do, I'm not going to do it. Like if it's not in the red, it's not happening.
Okay.
So like that's why the
like the red sticky note, right?
Yeah,
that's what you mean. It's not in the red sticky.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why like the project management system is really good for me, because there'll be certain things that once it goes past a certain date, it automatically flags it and it puts it at like urgent, and then it's like high priority. It's in red. Like I have to acknowledge that it needs to be done, and unless it's like a super emergency, it's probably not happening. So like, which is sad, but it's honestly the truth. And I even see this working in corporate, is a lot of things will fall by the wayside and things will be like, oh, well, yeah, well, like we need to do this. And then all of a sudden it's like 6 months go by and it still isn't done, but it hasn't done anything to the growth of the company. And I'm like, okay, so what? It didn't need to be done.
Yeah.
It didn't affect the bottom line. It wasn't necessary. So like, things that are important will be important, and the things that aren't important, you'll forget about. And like, it was probably for a good reason. Like, forget about it. It's okay. I think organization wise, it's just finding really what works for you. Like if you're an early bird, then be an early bird, get up early and know that you can't stay out late. Know that like 9 p.m. is your cutoff and you're going home. Like if you're a night owl, then like, okay, then know that like you can't start your job at 6 a.m. Like that you're not going to be the person that walks in the door at 7. You're going to be the one coming in sleepy eyed at 8:30, barely has half a cup of coffee in them and is like, I still need an hour before you come have any conversation with me. Like it's really recognizing like how you work, where you work best, and then just like putting those visual cues, I think. And those are really the 3 things for me. Is like I figured out I'm a morning person and a night owl. So like I can function on like 5 hours, maybe even 4 hours of sleep. Like I'm fine. I'm like ready to go. That's normal.
Yeah.
And but my best friend, my co-host, she is a midday person all day long. That bitch is in bed by like 9 and she's not getting up till 7, and don't talk to her for at least the first hour. Like she's awake. And I know that like if we decide to start a day recording early, I'm like, hey girl, I know that you're not awake yet, but I already got you coffee. So don't make coffee this morning. And I got you a breakfast sandwich. And she'll text me as soon as like, it'll be like 5 minutes before I arrive. And she texts me, she's like, bitch, I love you. I'm like, yeah, I know. You just woke up.
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, I'm here. She was like, and then she comes out all sleepy eyed. I'm like, good morning. She's like, I love you. I'm like, yeah, I know you do.
Bedhead all over and stuff like that.
And then she's like, coffee. And I'm like, yes, coffee. I got you coffee. Don't worry. But yeah, I think it's really recognizing. And she's like a midday person. So she's like, don't bother me after 9 p.m. I'm not answering. And don't even try to have a conversation with me before like 9. Before 9, it's like not happening. So she's like a midday person. So it's finding where you work. So if you're an early bird, get the fuck up early. Like don't stop making excuses to stay in bed late and do nothing. Like if you know that's when you're productive, get up and just be productive. And I think it's just like pushing yourself to do the hard work, which is hard. You don't want to do hard work. Everybody just wants to do like you want to do the tasks that don't really mean much, but they're easy. And it's the hard tasks that you sit back and you're like, fuck, I really should do that. And those are the ones that I always tell people, do the hard tasks first. Other people are like, oh, like get the easy stuff done and then do the hard stuff. I'm immediately the person that's like, do the hard tasks first. Because once you complete those hard tasks, the rest of the tasks are like more than easy. They're like they're like beginner level. If you're like talking video games, you're like very beginner. But just find what works best for you. And that's going to take a lot of trial and error. I'm 27 and I have just figured out that if I don't have a project management system, my life goes to fucking shit. I forget about things left and right. Like went to Vegas, I shut off all of my notifications, forgot to turn them all back on when I came back from Vegas. The amount of things that didn't get done when I came back. And I was like, spent 2 whole like probably 14-hour days correcting everything that I had just forgotten about. And I was like, I hate my life. I was like, this is why I don't shut off my notifications. And Alyssa doesn't get it. She's like, how do you have a million notifications? I said, because if I don't, things will be forgotten. They go into the abyss. So they're like phone apps and stuff. You guys, or is it like okay. So ClickUp is a desktop app and a phone app, and they have an online platform. So like if you wanted to just use it on like Chrome, you can. But like I have the app and I have the, what do you call it? Yes.
Yeah.
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 I forgot. So I'm so good with all of my systems. I forgot to shut them off for Thanksgiving. So yesterday morning, my 5 a.m. alarm goes off and I felt so bad. My poor spouse ended up all morning after 5 a.m. And he was like, I woke up at 7 and I was like, good morning. And he was like, good morning. And I was like, are you ready for coffee? He was like, I was ready for coffee 2 hours ago when your alarm went off. And I was like, ooh, I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was like, how about I make a deal Saturday morning? You get to stay in bed. I'll go get coffee. He was like, good. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I just like, and now I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that I turn my alarms back on for next week because if I don't, like, I'm not waking up on time and I'm not getting to work on time. It's not happening.
I love that. That's such a great utilization of your tools, though. You
Oh
know,
my
and I feel
God.
like again going back with technology, like the Balancing Tools Act. You know, it's like sometimes we overuse it for bad situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Disassociation, try to like avoid your work, procrastination. You'll use whatever social media tools or even reading and working out can be tools of disassociation if you use them as such. Like it's not just the social media scrolling that people think it is. Like people that do reading can be people that disassociate a lot. I did it a lot as a kid. Like my disassociation tool was reading, and even as I got older, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this thing. I'm just going to go read. And I recognized that like it wasn't necessarily a good thing that I was reading all the time. It was also can be like hey, what are you avoiding? Like that, it's a big tool for me of avoidance. Like if I catch myself in bed by 6 p.m., I'm like, what are you avoiding? What are you avoiding?
Yeah.
Like, you know there's work for you to do, but like, what are you avoiding? And it's like, then I make my list of all my avoidances and I'm like, okay, I'll go do at least 2 of those things and then I can come back and read before bed when I'm actually going to go to bed. So I think learning what works for you in tools and also like what your weaknesses are is probably the best thing to get yourself organized. Because when you can recognize what you're using as your weakness, like whether it's alcohol, I did that, whether it's disassociation for anything, any of it, whatever you use for disassociation, if you recognize that as your weakness, that is going to help you in the long run because you recognize that it's a problem. And that's going to be your number one thing that you go to when things are hard.
It's just like mastering yourself.
Yeah.
It really is. Are you into stoicism or anything? Like reading
I'm
books?
not, but you tell me all the time to read it. And
Yeah.
I almost picked up a book the other day, and instead I actually, Brandon will be happy about this one.
Oh.
I picked up the 48 Laws of Power.
Oh,
I finally did it.
Okay.
I've been staring at it for such a long time, and I read little excerpts here and there on social media, and I'm like, I should just read the damn fucking book. Like and I got to that point where I was like, all right, I need a new book. Where not like I don't have fucking probably 50 that I could read on my shelf, but I was like, I want to go book shopping.
Yeah, let's go again. You
Yeah.
see up 50, 80, a whole library of books just like starting to get cobwebs. Like, oh, fuck, I gotta get there soon.
No, they are starting to get cobwebs. It's really bad. They're so dusty. And I was like, I didn't need a new book, but I bought a new book anyway. It's fine. And I did start reading it, but I got through pretty much the introduction and I was like, I fell asleep, woke up a few hours later and the book was on me and I was like, okay, I just need to go to bed. That probably those last 2 pages, I probably retained none of that information.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing too. It's like I always try to read before bed, but it's like every time I'm like I have to reread it because like sometimes
Yes.
you'd be nodding off, hitting your head, and like headbutting the book.
Yeah.
Get in my brain.
Yeah,
God damn.
it's like it's the best time to read because it's when you like can actually soak up the most of the information. Because that's what they say: do all of your studying before you go to bed, and then you retain the information better, supposedly. And yeah, so I definitely think when it comes to anything, you have to figure out yourself. It is the mastery of self, really understanding what your weaknesses are, what are you good at, and like how can you maximize that to its potential, which is your potential essentially.
Damn, that's just facts. It literally is though.
Yeah.
That's what this life's about, and some people. You just need to take time and understand yourself. You're going to have those losses, but just day by day. Every day's a new opportunity to try. Put something new.
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
certain things like I don't know, and don't be so because we can always be our own worst critics, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And something that a coworker at work recently said to me, probably about a month ago, that's really stuck with me. Good is better than not finished, and I was like, ooh. I was like, damn, how many unfinished projects do I have because it just wasn't good enough? And I was like, that was a reflection of the way that I viewed myself, not a reflection of if that project was actually good. Like the project was good,
Yeah.
and sometimes good enough is better than perfection. Like, it's just the truth. And I was like, how many things are sitting in my archive drive right now that need to be posted on social media, but it's not my standard, so I haven't been posting. So in the long run, I hurt myself even more because I didn't post anything. And I was like, oh, I'm my own worst critic. And I was like, okay, just post it. Who cares if it's off by half a centimeter that the regular world will never notice? But my design eye is like, no, that's not right. It's just not right. And I need to go in and edit it. And I'm like, oh, do I really have time for that? No, just post the goddamn post. It's fine. No one else is going to notice. And it really is like, you are your own worst critic. And it's so hard to overcome that. But it's like, I think it goes back to, if you recognize where you're powerful and what you're good at, that's going to help weigh out your worst critic. Because you can be like, I'm good at this, and that's good. But sometimes good enough is okay. Like, good enough is enough. Just get it done. Yeah.
That's, we underestimate, I mean, it's just, just trying is best enough. But, like, I was going to say, like, what growing up, like, when it comes to your family or friends, like, who was your motivator to get you to be who you are today, like, that kind of like get you the moral foundations that made you who you are today? Well, obviously you got through a lot of actions and other shit happened along the way too, but like, who was in the beginning, like, to get you into, like, maybe like, were you like an entrepreneur, like, when you were younger, like, trying new projects, like, were you
oh god, I wish I like had that answer. I think as a child I was so aloof when I was a kid. I just didn't care. Like, I was just very like, okay, I was go with the flow when I was a kid. And I think I had to be like, I came from a divorced household. So it was like, okay, mom's here, dad's here, half my clothes are there, half my clothes are here. Like, I just gotta, oh, great. The outfit that I thought I was wearing on Friday, I'm not wearing because the shirt and the shoes for that are at mom's. So now I gotta like change things up. And I just like, I learned to be a little bit more go with the flow. And even now as I'm older, I got away from going with the flow and I got much more rigid. And I realized that that's probably my own worst enemy, is being super rigid. Like, if I flow with what is working at the time, things go so much easier. And it works so much better for myself.
Okay, I was thinking of it different. Like, you were putting, like, when you say rigid, I thought you meant like you were putting like walls in a sense of like boundaries for yourself. Like, all right, I'm going to make sure I do that.
Well, so sometimes for me, it's like I put too many boundaries up. I'm like, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do this and it has to be in that order. And if it's not in that order, then it's not good and it's not going to be done. Versus being like, okay, just get it done. It doesn't matter the order. If you wrote the caption, this is just a simple, okay, great. I write the caption first and then I do the graphics second and then I do this third. But my structure was, I have to do the graphic first. I have to do this and then I have to do that. It hindered me to the point that I stopped doing it altogether because I was like, oh, it has to go in this order, instead of being like, no, as long as you're getting it done regardless of the order, it's fine. It's done. And that's like, it's getting over the hump of just getting it done and making sure that it's good enough. It's never going to be perfect.
Exactly.
It's never going to be perfect.
It's just hard, because we want to at least know we're putting our best work out there.
Yeah, of course. But nothing is going to be your best. It really isn't, because you're going to keep learning, and then you'll look back in 5 years. You'll even look back in a month at the thing that you just made, and then you're like, wow, that content sucked a month ago because I learned all these new things that I didn't know. Oh, I learned that this works better and that this works better and this works better. So now learning those 3 things, I was like, wow, okay, this month's content looks way better than last month's. And you're never going to have your best because you're constantly going to be learning. As humans, we're just going to constantly learn, and you're going to educate yourself and be able to look back and constantly be, again, your own worst critic, to be like, wow, that was shit. But also like, I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at the time. And that's it.
Damn, dropping fucking bars, Jocelyn.
Well, that's like something my best friend and I talk about constantly, because we always like, I'm someone who, I don't have a lot of regrets. There's like, I think I have 2 out of at my entire life. I've got 2 regrets. And the second one I can't even think about at this point right now. But my first one, and really the one that sticks out, was never asking my grandfather and my grandmother how they met. And there was a night we were sitting down, I was at their house, and I wanted so badly to ask them how they met, but they were so tired, and my grandmother had been sick. So I was like, oh, I don't want to ask. And the next day my grandmother passed away. And I was like, that is my biggest regret, was never asking them. And shortly thereafter, my grandfather went downhill pretty quickly because they were inseparable. So like, it didn't take him long to go downhill. And I just never got the courage after that to ask again. So I was like, that is my biggest regret. And I think that that's just a testament for myself to be like, you need to do what you need to do for yourself when it feels right. And I can only do so much with the knowledge that I have. So I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to do what I can. And that's all I can do. And I have to know that whatever I did in that moment was the best that I thought I could do. And that's that. And I'll know when it's my best. You know when you put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
You know when you're not putting your best foot forward. And you're like, okay, that wasn't my best work. But it's done. And I can't take it back. I can't regret that it wasn't my best. So now I have to go forward and just make sure whatever I do is my best. And that's that.
And like going back to like that, like, you know, what I mean, did that back to your grandparents, like did that after that, did it make you more like assertive on like you said, like you were just like, hey, I'm just going to take what I want in this life, say what I need to say, and like make space. The world needs to make space for me, because like I can't hold my dreams back or ambitions. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think I just became brutally honest and just like, I didn't hold my tongue. Like, I don't have a problem saying what's on my mind. And I think that probably started there, because I was like, wow, I regret not saying that one thing. And if I would rather say something and have to apologize than to not say anything at all. And then it could have been the best thing I ever said. Like, so I would much rather speak my mind, tell you the truth and how I feel in that moment. And yeah, maybe in a couple of days I'll look back, be like, I was kind of a fucking bitch. Yeah. All right. Well, be like, yeah. And just be like, hey, sorry, I kind of treated you like shit back there, but you know, I still meant what I said. Like, it still pissed me off. This is still the way I felt. And like, that's that. And because whatever I said at that moment, that's how I felt. And that's just the truth. And I don't know if it started there or if it just started in the fact that, you know, I was the youngest in the family, so I was never heard. So now I'm just like, yeah, no, like I'm going to say what I need to say, and that's that. And if you don't like it, that's okay. But, you know, you're not everyone's cup of tea. Some people don't even like fucking tea.
Yeah. So
like, say what you're going to say, and somebody else can make their own judgments and take their own perspective on who you are as a person. And that's okay. Yeah, and you have to accept that not everyone's gonna love you.
Exactly.
Not everyone is even gonna like you in this midget.
I feel like a lot of it, especially with social media too, going back to that conversation, is like we always try to impress people that don't care about us. And it's just like, and you know, social media disconnects us from the people who care, like the family and friends who are around us every day, who are there for our downfalls and the highest of, you know, days. And it's just like, you know, put that phone down, you know, and focus on the now and like what truly matters to you and what do the best you can for yourself, honestly. But Jocelyn, like, you're fucking great. Like, you're literally a motivator in my you're a great motivator. I'm glad I have you in my circle along with everyone else that we've grown up in the podcasting world so far anyway. But like, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast, doing the, you know, just being you, because you really are the best. I seriously, like, I can't wait to see like if the Table Talks really does blow up, like, because going back to like even like freedom of speech, like that's barely, like, I feel like now is like a big topic, and like especially with America, like and I think conversations
the cancel
like
culture. Yeah,
that, and you know what I mean. Like, how do you feel? Like, what's your opinion about cancel culture actually when it comes like?
I was all about it when it first got started, and then I think the older I've gotten and the more wisdom I've like acknowledged, I realized like cancel culture is so bad. It is just so bad, because we cancel someone because they say something that didn't align with us, instead of being like questioning what they're doing and being more curious. We're just like, it's like an immediate, it gave me an immediate ick, so like it's just over. And it's like, oh God, like, did you think that maybe you should explore why it gave you an immediate ick, or like why did it give you an uncomfortable feeling? Like, we don't take that time to look at it. Again, I think it's the whole, we've lost any sort of empathy and emotion in humans, and we've just been so ingrained to go to work, scroll your phone, and that's it. That's what you do. Like, you work and then you die. And we've been, you know, cycled that, especially the millennial generation, over and over and over and over again. It's like, oh, well, like, you know, especially older parents, I had a house at your age. Great, you had a house, but did you also have $100,000 in student loans? No. So I think the cancel culture, people get canceled all the time. And I mean, I think Logan Paul is a perfect example. He got canceled, when we were in high school, maybe early days of college, for recording someone, and now is an MMA fighter who's on live TV. Like, he clearly didn't get canceled. Like, I think we think cancel culture is successful and it does so many good things, but it doesn't do what we think it does. It doesn't actually cancel people. You you're satisfying it. Someone goes quiet for 6 months.
Yeah.
You satisfy your need, and instead of just clicking, okay, unfollow, I didn't like what they had to say. They may come across my page in 6 months and they're saying something different, and I'll enjoy that and I'll refollow. But like, we just expect people to just, you need to be quiet because I said so, instead of being like, hey, I really didn't like what they were saying, but why? We don't take the initiative to explore it for ourselves. We just like assume it's the other person's problem.
Exactly. Like, why don't you like what I like? Like, what the, you don't like you don't like strawberry ice cream, Jocelyn?
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, you don't?
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
If
good.
I could eat
Okay.
ice cream.
Oh, okay. I was about to kick you out. I was like, all right, if you can't eat strawberry.
No, I'm a sherbet person. That is my favorite. Orange sherbet. Chef's kiss.
That's a twist up. Actually, I haven't had that in years.
Really?
Years.
Listen, Somerset Creamery's orange sherbet ice cream, that is the best.
All right, we're going, guys. We're gonna get
If it wasn't closed, yeah.
Damn it.
It's not ice cream season.
Damn winter. I like ice cream in the winter. Goddamn.
No, I'm such a cookie person. Okay, if you had to pick your favorite dessert and you had no other options, what would you choose?
Son of a wait, cookie or dessert, or just any
Just
dessert?
any dessert. And it only has to be one, so it's gotta be like cookies, cake, brownies, like ice cream. What are you picking?
Damn, Jocelyn, that's
I
a
know.
fucking hard ass. I would say a gajatas nata.
What the fuck is that?
It's a little custard cup, like with crunch.
Okay.
Like I probably butchered the fuck out gajatas nata, but it's like a crunchy exterior with an egg custard in the center.
Oh, okay.
Hey, heat that bitch up. Ooh.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm a cookies bitch.
Just cookies, huh?
Straight
up
up.
cookies. Okay.
Straight up. I don't need milk. Just give me the fucking cookies.
Oh,
bro.
damn.
I love cookies.
That's why I loved Oreo Day so much.
Yeah,
Well,
I do. I did love Oreo Day. I won't lie.
Oh, that's what it is. Yep, right there. That's a gajatas nata right
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely have seen those. I just probably
there. Every
didn't know
Portuguese
how-
bakery.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was like, I definitely have seen those. I was like, I don't know why, but I know I have.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, we are reaching that time. I know you are a busy individual. So first off, I want to say thank you so much, Jocelyn, for your time. It truly is appreciated. You're a great individual, and truly, I wish the best for you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
And before you, peace out. Would you like to shout yourself out and how people can support you in any way they can?
I don't even think I want to shout myself out.
All right,
I think
fair.
what I want to do is tell people to make sure that you explore yourself to the nth degree, because I promise you, if you think you know yourself, you probably don't.